Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Sangha. I trust you are feeling as well as you can be in this moment. I'm grateful to be here. I hope you find peace, relaxation here. If you're going through anything difficult, remember that this too shall pass. I'm here for you. I hope to be your humble host. May we come together as fellow students of life, seekers of truth, to uplift each other, relate in one another's experience, and share positive sentiments. Namaste. Welcome, dear Sky Guardian. Welcome, dear Maya. Grateful Human. Hello, dear Spensierius. I'd like to begin with Invocation. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvisha Vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. That means, may the Divine protect us both together. May the Divine nourish us both together. May our study be vigorous and effective. May we not mutually dispute or hate any. May there be peace in us. May there be peace in our environment. And may there be peace in the forces that act on us. Good day, dear grateful human. We will be doing another reading soon, dear Sky Guardian. Welcome, dear Jaybird. I empathize with having a hard time tonight, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Welcome, dear Caleb. Well, please, if you have a question, you're welcome to ask. Thank you, dear Spensierius, for your quintet of tiny tinies. Yippee! Dear Shy, you're wondering what color is my favorite? Well, when I was really young, I loved the color orange. And then for a huge time in my life, that changed to green. And now I think I love orange again. But you know what? I just love all colors. Just like all the notes on the piano come together to form a song, or not just a piano, but any instrument. I think all the colors come together to form the rainbow. And you know I love the rainbow. Hello, dearest G to infinity. Dear Caleb, you share. As a man, what do you do if you've done the spiritual work, the physical and the mental, but still feel miserable? Oh, and I respect your ability to fit that into a comment. I know there isn't enough room to express everything we want to, but I understand. I mean, you speak from a perspective of realizing the opportunities you have available to work on yourself at all levels, and you've done so. And yet there's still more to do. And you're absolutely right to point that absence out, because that's something we all share. No matter how much we do focus on our physical, mental, or spiritual health, there's always something more we could do. But instead of that being discouraging, there's a way of that being another opportunity to connect with yourself physically, mentally, spiritually. Remember that it's not about the result. It's the process of taking care of yourself that's most important. Not the destination, the journey. If you can begin to enjoy that hard work, well, you can make it easy on yourself. It doesn't have to be hard per se. The work to bring love into this world, including your body and your mind. You can fall in love with that simple process, and it becomes the reward itself. There is an infinite journey, so don't be discouraged by all that you have to do. Feel encouraged to engage in whatever you have available for you in this moment. Thank you, dear Orphic Dreams, for your heartmate. Hare Krishna. Of course, dear Caleb, thank you for your question, and all my best wishes for you and your continued journey. It certainly gets easier, but that's not to say the challenges don't get more intense in other ways. It's just like a video game. The better you are able to play it, the more challenging levels you unlock, and ultimately the more wonderful things you experience along the way. Namaste, dear Chloe. You like the color orange, dear Isabella? Me too. I am curious what all of your favorite colors are. Spencerius, you share when you were a kid you loved yellow. Then it was blue forever, but now you're in love with green. It's funny how our favorite things change like that. I like that. Radhe oh Radhe, dear Magdalene Priya. Radhe oh Radhe, dear Shakira. Dear Sky, you're wondering if I have a P.O. box. You'll miss me on TikTok and you want to be pen pals. Well, that's so kind of you. I don't have a P.O. box, but you're always welcome to message me on other platforms. If you go into the link tree in my bio, you'll find social media icons for Instagram, WhatsApp, Telegram, email. You're always welcome to message me there. And for our American viewers who are facing a possible or probable TikTok panel, I will find ways of continuing these live streams for you, don't worry. Dear hashtag, you ask, what technology do I think will come first? Full-scale large terraforming Mars efforts, or functional early stage Alcubierre drive? Wow. I think the Alcubierre drive, if I remember correctly, is a warp drive, right? A kind of technology that could theoretically have a negative energy density, therefore creating a defect, or not a defect necessarily, but a warping of space that would theoretically move the space along with the vehicle you are traveling in, so that you can exceed the limitations of the speed of light. It's a wonderful idea. And terraforming Mars, of course, is the idea of bringing life to it, not unlike the kind of oceans and greenery we have on Earth. Well, given that it's absolutely within the realm of possibility to terraform Mars, but we still don't know if it's possible to have negative energy density, I would probably say that terraforming Mars would be more likely. But who's to say that you couldn't create a really tiny, maybe quantum warp drive, and it stays, you know, just as a miniature technology for hundreds of years before we terraform another planet? I could see that happening too. Anyway, lots of thoughts about exploring the universe. I love the curiosity we have for our place in the cosmos. There's an equally vast cosmos within. not to sound cliche, but there's a whole universe to explore inside our unconsciousness. We have to terraform our subconscious and take the warp drive to the deepest parts of ourself. A very interesting question. Thank you for that, dear hashtag. Hello, dear Andre. You're like dark pink, dear G. Yeah. It's funny because dark pink is light red, I think. So what is a dark light red? Does it cancel out and we just get back red? Although I feel like I know what you mean anyway. You can find a dark pink, like around here. Thank you, dear Marcy, for your rose. Always a nice day when I get a gift from you, but it's never expected nor necessary. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. Hello, Her Royal Highness Eni. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So nice to see you too, dear Ragnhildur. Dear Billy, you are liking baby blue, navy blue, royal blue, basically blue. All your favorites. I like that. Dear hashtag, you ask, doesn't the Casimir effect already produce negative energy? Just need to make a large scale of it. That's a really interesting idea. If I remember correctly, that's when you take two planar objects, really thin sheets, like atoms across next to each other. And due to the effects of virtual particles popping in and out of existence, all the time, everywhere, much more energetic virtual particles can exist on the outside of those two sheets than on the inside. So that creates a negative energy density on the inside, thus drawing those two sheets together. Yeah. But I think it's relative to the outside, not absolute negative energy density, because the virtual particles still have a very positive energy on the inside, but relative to the energy outside, there's a deficit. But perhaps you could harness that in a different way. Dear Ellie, or Eli, Ellie, you share your transgender. How do you stay positive when experiencing so much transphobia and violence? What an important question, and thank you for raising your voice on such an issue. I am here for you. I will always stand up for you. It is so unfortunate how just what you choose to do with your body and what you choose to raise awareness for can upset other people by challenging their worldview. But as it is said in ancient India, still to this day in India, that when the elephant comes walking, all of the dogs start barking. Now, if that elephant really wanted to, the elephant could just, and the dog would be a pancake. But the elephant knows that there really is no need for that. It's just all bark and no bite. You are like the elephant. Nobody can silence you. your spiritual ability alone to recognize yourself as something beyond the body, that is a Shakti, a power, much more powerful than mere threats. So continue to stand your ground, raise your voice, and I will be here for you too. I hope my community stands strong for you as well. Dear Tattvamasi, thank you for your quintet of roses. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Dear the Countess, thank you for your baker's dozen plus an extra 2025, a baker's dozen, or 1 2025 for each day in a fortnight. Your 20 roses and a trio of tiny tinies. Yippee! Thank you. I like your question, if it's possible to have a black color LED. Something that would negate light itself. Yeah. Unfortunately, the opposite of a photon is just another photon. Photons are their own anti-particle, but they can still cancel each other out. Theoretically, if you were able to perfectly predict the electromagnetic field at each point in your room, then you could create a light source that would be opposite in polarity. Where there was one crest, there'd be another valley, and vice versa. Just like the double slit experiment, but for the scale of a whole room. That'd be really weird. Theoretically possible through a deconstructive interference. Thank you, dear Isabella, for your hat mustache. Om Bhram Namah Shivaya. Hello, dear Marianne Moons. You're wondering if you can tell me about my life and background? Sure. I was brought up to a spiritual mother and an agnostic father. That led me to find my own way, and I chose science and mathematics, but ultimately physics and logic and math ultimately led me to the things that are beyond the scope of pure analysis, a place so indescribable. We must turn to something more spiritual. And here I am exploring such an ineffable space with you. You like purple, dear Orphic Dreams. I like that. The Countess, you ask, how long have I been enlightened? This is a funny question. I don't think I'm enlightened, dear the Countess, but I do appreciate that you find this space to be enlightening. I have a long way to go, but of the little things I've learned thus far, I'd love to share them with you. Little things become big things here. Hello, dear Alyssa. Some facts from Marcy. All women are queens, and all yammies are cowboys. Yeehaw! Thank you, dear Orphic Dreams, for another 24 roses. That's very kind of you. Ram Ram. Dear Angela, thank you for your heart me as well. Jaya Sitaram. Dear eco-friendly Billy, you ask, how can you get into spirituality? Well, your spirit is already with you. So all you have to do is dive into the essence of who you are. Starts with Atma Vicharya, self-inquiry. Who am I? What am I truly? And to whom do these questions even occur? Really contemplate on the meaning of being. We've got all sorts of wonderful questions being asked. I'm very grateful for this. Hello, everyone. We'll be reading shortly from a spiritual book. The Countess, you had asked, what do I think happens when we die? I think we move into the hearts of our loved ones, and that love propagates through the world, and one day perhaps becomes a seed again, planted to continue where we leave off. But that's just one perspective. I think there are truths in every perspective. Dear Myrtle, hello. You ask how to deal with blocked energy as it brings you health issues. When you want to increase the flow of a river, what you can do is widen the channel. Feel what energy still pours through the channels and visualize opening that space. This can be a meditation on the nadis, these energetic currents that are the pathways for our awareness in the body. As you inhale, your inhale will be important to open those pathways. Open the channels in your wrists, in your neck, in your heart, in your hips, for instance. And on your exhale, imagine releasing anything that's blocking those pathways. But what's important is on the exhale, make sure you don't contract the opening that you did on the inhale, so that you open and then release without contracting, and then your inhale doesn't have to redo what you just undid, but just expands it even more. So each inhale builds on the next. If you can create that incremental growth feeling with each inhale, that'll be most important. Her Royal Highness, Zenny, thank you for your 44 roses too. That is very kind of you. And another heart me. Om Tam Namastandaraya. Dear Marcy, thank you for another heart me too. Hari Om Tat Sat. Pure possibilities. Thank you for your heart me. Om Ganganapataye Namah. Hermetic vibrations. Thank you for your rose. Om Kang Jahnavyay Namah. Dear Spencerius, thank you for your finger heart. Here's one for you. Om Vastudevataya Namah. And your heart me. Thank you for that. Hello, dear Macy. Much love to you. That is true, Tekoder. Purple or magenta doesn't actually correspond to any frequency of light, but is a phenomenon of our own biology closing the gap between red and violet, or red and blue light. But just as one may question, if a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear, does it make a sound? So too, we can question, by purple, are we really referring to light or our experience of light by this word? Even if the light itself may not exist in a frequency that corresponds exactly, the experience of light is absolutely something that exists to us. You are protected, dear Eli. Eli, Ali, Eli. Sorry, I forget which one it is. You can tell me which way you prefer. Macy, you ask, everything is happening now. Yeah. The past already happened. The future has yet to happen. So everything that is happening must be happening now. Bonjour, dear Quantum Immortality. Thank you, dear Talita, for your heartmate. Om Kring Kali Kaye Namah. It's pronounced Eli. Thank you for reminding me. I'll always respect your preferences. Dear Giuliano, thank you for your TGIF from the future. Thank you for your tiny, yippee, for your rose ice cream cone, TikTok, and heartbeat. Om Arm Ashwini Bhyam Namah. Dear Dean, you ask, what would I say to console someone who is nearing the end of this lifetime? They may be nearing the end of their time, but not life. Life had no beginning, and it shall have no end. Time only changes the experience of the life we have, but not the existence of life. This body is on loan from Mother Earth. When we give up the body, we don't give up life. That's why a body that has been dropped from the person, we say is a dead body. We don't say it's a live body. So if the life isn't there in the body, then it must remain with you as it leaves. What a grace it is to even have the knowledge of time, the sense of time that we have left with our loved ones. We must make the most important use of that as we can. And important doesn't have to be serious. Important absolutely includes play. Play. Go easy on yourself. Have fun. Reflect on your cherished memories. And keep something beautiful in your mind always. If you leave with something beautiful in your mind. If we keep anything, it's our final thought. So take with you the most beautiful final thought that you can. thank you, dear Spencerius, for your trio of tiny tinies. Yahoo! Dear faithful being, you had asked, what do I feel about simulation theory? You know, I really draw inspiration from that scene in The Matrix where the architect is saying, you know, the real Matrix the whole time was believing that you were here to escape the Matrix. It's like a beautiful riddle that the only thing to escape from, ultimately, the highest possible reality you can escape into, is the reality in which you realize that there's nothing to escape from. It's like going so full circle into spirituality that you come out the other side realizing that this world is the highest plane of existence. But we were lost in just one aspect of it, in the materialism, in the chasing of pleasures, temporary gratification. But how wonderful is this world when seen not as an illusion, but as the Divine Mother herself. She is the creation. And I know what my mother would think if I tried to run away from her. Faithful being, you share. That's why the Buddha's first words from enlightenment were, let's eat. This is true, I've heard that too. And all of the monks that were following him were like, did he just say what I think he said? You've been an ascetic for so long, he's finally lost the sauce. But he realized that actually, no. He was missing the sauce the whole time. He had been unnecessarily depriving himself of the joy of food and communion. Follow the middle way. Hello, dear divinity. You ask, do I think our current system is failing us? And do I think a natural disaster will occur? Well, I hate to break it to you, but natural disasters are already occurring all over the planet. And that is going to be true whatever system we have. But the current systems we do have aren't exactly taking the best care of Mother Earth. And we can always take more care of her. And yeah, we should explore ways of bettering these systems or substituting them for more healthy ones. We forget that we are Mother Earth. Without Earth, there is no us. If she dies, we die with her, right? So, if we want to stay alive, it's in our best interest to take care of all of life that we are an extension of. Hello, dear David's mom. You had asked if anyone can see your question. Let me double check. There's a lot of them, which I'm very grateful for. I see you wrote that, hello, you hope all is well. That came through. I don't see a question though. But if someone else does, please echo it for dear David's mom. Sorry about the shadow filters, but I'm glad you're aware of them. I know that it can be frustrating. Thank you, dear David's mom, for the heart me you sent. And 32 team bracelets. A good power of 2. As any Minecraft player will know. Myself included. Anyway, thank you. Om Kamalir Maha Kalikaye Namah. Dear Her Royal Highness Zeni, you asked what are my thoughts on the ocean being alive. Oh, I love that observation. The ocean is the womb of life, isn't it? And life must come from life. If a baby comes from a womb, that womb must be as filled with life. Life on earth has emerged from the ocean. She is our womb. Waters of the womb, they say. Yeah. All of the elements were debated for thousands of years of being alive. Fire, earth, water, air, even space. I see the truth in the life of the ocean. It may not be literally made up of organic molecules if we just consider the H2O. But there's something special about her. That's for sure. Now I see your question, dear David Swan. Can I please pray for your friend Jason Opa Roger? He's very sick. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to pray for someone. Yeah. May we take a moment to pray for dear Jason, and that he gets the help that he needs, and the people in his life are there for him, such as yourself, dear David's mom. May he be open to receiving healing, happiness. May he rest. May he continue providing us with an opportunity to love from afar. Amen. Much love, dear divinity. Dear Babel Fishy, thank you for your friendship necklace. And tiny. Yahoo! Sky Guardian can vouch for my prayers. Oh, well, it's not me doing the work by any means. It is truly the faith in the prayer itself that makes the biggest difference. And thank you for that, dear Sky. Ishwara. Hello, dear Sarah. You shared the ocean is terrifying. Indeed. And so can mothers be when they need to, for the sake of protecting her young. Like Kali. Faithful being, you realize that life is holographic in the sense that something must be upscaled from cardinal laws. That's beautiful. That is very much in line with the idea of fundamental physics. If you study the very small, all of the creation that has come from what is tiny is just an extension of that. We are a manifestation that appears to be quite big if you consider all of the cells, all of the molecules, all the atoms, subatomic particles. But the energy itself, that is the building blocks of all that, is so subtle. And thank you, dear Andrea, for the 2025 that you had sent. Om Dum Durgaya Namah. Oh, dear David's mom, the prayer is to be directed to Jason's grandfather. No problem. Yes. Just like when you accidentally send a package to the wrong address, it's okay. You can intercept that and say, actually, I meant it to be delivered here. Dear guardian angels of the universe, our previous prayer was meant to be directed to Jason's grandfather. I'm sure you know already, but just for posterity. Nonetheless, send love and healing in any way that Jason can benefit too. Dear Starlight Wow, thank you for your tiny Yahoo! And Babel Fishy, thank you again. Babel Fishy, you had asked, where can you learn more about quantum mechanics for beginners? I really like the resource called PBS Spacetime. It's a YouTube channel on YouTube. They might actually have other platforms, I don't know, but that's where I watch them. It's called PBS Spacetime. I love them. Hello, dear Katie Chris Candy Crush. Divinity, you ask, but what are our mothers trying to protect? Really, the preciousness of a child is eternal. But it requires a safe space to unfold. You can never get rid of the preciousness, no matter what happens. But you can remove the safe space, and then the unfolding is put on an indefinite pause. Through trauma, for example. But as soon as that safe space is created again, one continues unfolding just where they left off. As if no time had elapsed at all. A mother is really protecting the space, the environment around the child. The soul of a child, soul of anyone, is eternal. There's nothing to protect in that sense. But a mother has a duty to protect the space in which that soul unfolds itself, so that there is room to grow, to share the light that they have too. You're very welcome, dear Donsuela. Think of a projector. A projector that's always on. No matter what, it's shining its light. But you need a good place to have that light shine. So you clear up the room. You make sure that the room is nice and free of any obstacles. You situate it with the right angle for the necessary perspective to watch what plays in the scene that is created from that light on the wall or the screen. Thank you, dear Delaney, for your heart mate. Om Namah Parashaktaye. Dear Shakira, thank you for your heart, me and Tiny Diny. Yippee! That was a very excited Tiny Diny. Had a lot of Diny coffee today. Thank you, dear Davis, for your heart, me. Radhe, Radhe. Dear user 932, you were wondering, what kind of religion am I following? I am a believer in humanity. I have faith in humanity. I have faith that we are representatives of the divine. Whether we choose to see that divine as one way, given the culture of one place, or the spirituality of another time, that does not make a difference to me. But I see the light in each other's eyes, and I know that there's something special within all of us. And hello, and thank you, dear Gina, for your trio of roses. Om Param Hanumate Namah. No, I had no coffee, dear Sky Guardian, but the Tiny Diny did. That was him. I agree, dear G. Let us honor our mothers tonight. Dear Tick Tick Tock, you ask, what do I know about the Holy Trinity? They are a logical sequence of deductions that one can make from understanding the nature of the source. I find it appropriate to map that discussion onto Sanskrit terms, which are equivalent. Holy Spirit, Father and Son, are akin to very technical terms in Indian spirituality. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So I'm going to draw parallels with the equivalent in the language of Sanskrit because their etymology reveals the logical sequence that they create. The most basic realization of divinity is that which has brought forth this reality. There is a root in Sanskrit, brh, which means to expand as a verb. Just like this universe has expanded into being, we might call the universe the Great Expansion. And that's what Brahman literally means, coming from that verbal root. The Holy Spirit, that which is omnipresent, is like Brahman, is like the all-expansive one. It is the substrate that has brought forth this whole reality. For the physically minded people, you might imagine that as space itself. From a religious context, that means that the source is within all of us. If it's within everything, that includes us too. So the part of that source which is in us gets a special name. That is the Paramatma, the higher self, or the Father. If you want to contact the Holy Father, do you need some address out there physically? Or do you close your eyes and you turn inward? So, since the divine is omnipresent as Brahman, and we are part of that creation, then there must be a part of the source in us too. That's the Father, or the higher self, Paramatma. So if the source is within all of us, then that allows for the divine to come through from time to time, age to age, like in the Holy Trinity. There was a being that fully represented that divinity within them, so much so that when they spoke, it was as if there was no individuality at all. They had no lower self. That had been cleared away, and what shone through like a window opening to reveal the light was the higher self. In Christianity, that being is known as Jesus Christ. In Sanskrit, that's called an avatara, a descension. When the clearing out of the lower self happens, the higher self shines through without any ego. And then that being becomes known as Bhagavan, the Son, or the personal form of the divine. And many cultures, many traditions have their own representatives, their own beings that shone to them like that. And none of us can be like Jesus or any other avatar. But we all can take inspiration from that by realizing that that same divinity is within us. And it's our duty to become good representatives of that in our own unique and little way. Thank you, dear Ragnhildur, for your tiny. Yippee! Now, dear user 932, you ask, in my own perception, who is creating the universe? You actually answered the question in the question. Your own perception. Without perception, there is no creation. Your very act of witnessing, observing, is what simultaneously creates, sustains, and ultimately dissolves the experience of life. Dear Alexander, you had asked for thoughts on Alan Watts. What a character. And what a master orator. The command he had on the English language in connecting ideas, especially in relation to Eastern philosophy, is phenomenal. And I take great inspiration in him. Dear Janus, you're wondering if I can explain a word that I've never heard before, so probably not. Maybe I could do a quick Google search. it's a Zoroastrian term. Well, that's why I have a lot to learn about the Zoroastrian tradition. Zaushyant is an Avestan language term that literally means one who brings benefit, and which is used in several ways in Zoroastrian scripture and tradition. In particular, the expression is the proper name of the Zaushyant, an eschatological, if I pronounce that right, savior figure who brings about Freshokereti, the final renovation, oh I like that word, of the world in which evil is finally destroyed. The term was contracted to So-shans in Zoroastrian tradition and came to apply to three savior figures that were prophesied to progressively bring about the final renovation. I love that. Etymology, I love etymology. The Avestan word Saoshant derives from an active participle indicated by the ant of the future stem of the verbal root su or sao, which itself comes from the Proto-Indo-European keu, to swell. I'm sure I can pronounce that better. The Avestan sura, strong, and yawesu, ever thriving, derived from this root. Fascinating. Thank you, dear Dub Darker, for your heartmeat. Om Aram Brahmane Namah. Dear Kalden, you ask, do I like Baba Ram Das? Oh, very much so. Yes. I learned many things from him. I was also inspired by his ability to have such beautiful discourses on his experience with his guru, Neem Karoli Baba, and his spiritual experiences in general. It's a good question, Divinity. Zoroaster is not just a book you buy off Amazon. Where can you find it? You might have to go to some specialist bookstore that deals with religion, spirituality, place a custom order. But I feel like you could possibly buy it off Amazon. I've gotten a lot of spiritual books from Amazon. Other than that, if you have a local representative of Zoroastrianism, maybe they can help you find it. Dear Jim, you ask, what do I think about haunting, spirits manifesting energies? I find, as long as you are bringing your attention to what is good, all of the negative energies, they go away consequentially. The tricky thing about negative energy is that trying to remove negative energy is yet another negative energy. So we inadvertently create more negative energy the more we try to remove some part of our experience. Thus it becomes an endless catch-22, where we do some seance or we do some saging, and then ultimately we feel like we've invited in even more negative energy. It's like a little fishy is going to die if it does not see one negative thing in its environment, because one negative experience could be life or death for a little fishy. That means getting eaten by a bigger fishy. But a positive experience comes and goes. If you don't eat today, for a little fishy, that might not be so bad. You can eat tomorrow. So missing one negative experience can be life or death, but missing one positive experience might not necessarily be so threatening. As such, evolution has created a negative bias that our mind loves to ruminate on the negative. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. As we look for things that are negative, so shall we find them. Fortunately, there's a solution. The solution is, instead of trying to remove negative things from your life, try to bring in positive things. And then you'll never run out of more and more positive expansion and light and love. And naturally, the darkness gets dissolved instantaneously when you bring in the light. If your room's dark, you don't have to fight with the darkness. You just have to turn on the light. You can't grab the darkness and try to throw it out of your room. Get out of there. You try to push it out, like a fly who's come into your room. So you get a piece of paper or a book and you're trying to, shoo, get out. Yeah. We literally cannot remove darkness. But what we can do is add light. And it just so happens that when we add light, the darkness gets removed in effect. No longer can we describe as darkness as being part of our experience anymore when the light is on. It required nothing to get rid of. Only the addition of something, the addition of light in this case. So if you bring in love, light, healing, positive affirmation, all those good things, keep your energy focused on those things. That's all you ever have to do. I'm happy you were able to connect it to a familiar tradition. Dear baby Billy, you're wondering if TikTok is banned, how will you get to me? You can check out all the different platforms that we share in the link tree in my bio. Well, I learned so much from all of you. Dear Mermaid. Hello, dear Illust Philosophy. Will TikTok be banned for Canada? No, it's just an American thing. I think for all other countries, nothing's changing. The reason is because Americans noticed, or the leaders of Americans, the politicians, they noticed that there's an increasing activism on TikTok that questions authority. That on this platform, there's a natural kind of resistance to power structures. And so the American government is a little scared of that because they know that that they might be threatened if one continues to become aware of all of the ways to improve the system. So something that Americans are having to go through. But as far as I know, that's just an American thing. Dear Orla, you ask, how am I feeling after so many interviews and podcasts? I'm glad you noticed that I've been busy. I'm feeling well. Yeah. It was a little chaotic trying to organize it all, but the bulk of that is behind me now, and I'm grateful to have gone through that experience. All right, this has been a wonderful and eventful Shravana. I would like to now read from the book that we were reading, The Journey Home, new book that we started recently. Today we are starting the second chapter of The Journey Home, and it begins with a little treat. Pictures. We love pictures. So before we start the second chapter, let me show you some of these pictures. Bit of a foreshadow for the adventure that we'll have, I'm sure. Here we have in the upper left our author of the book in 1970, while living as a recluse in the Himalayas. I love this. By the way, if you didn't already know, this is the story of an American Swami, an autobiography. And to the right of that is Pashupatinath, a sacred shrine in Nepal. Looks lively. Below that we have a rock in the Ganga River that served as the author's seat for a month of solitary meditation. Such an important rock. On the next page, we have some saints and yogis who inspired the author on his journey. On the upper left is Swami Rama, founder of the Himalayan Institute of Yoga. There he is meditating. To the right, we have Swami Satchitananda, founder of the Integral Yoga Institute. And you can see the light in his eyes. On the bottom left, we have J. Krishnamurti, renowned author and philosopher. And on the bottom right, we have Swami Chidananda Saraswati, successor of Swami Shivananda of the Divine Life Mission. Beautiful souls. On the next page, we have, on the top left, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, founder of the Transcendental Meditation, TM programs. He was the guru of the Beatles. To the right of him is Ananda Mayi Ma, renowned mystic and guru. I love her a lot. Her name means the bliss-filled mother in Sanskrit. Below them is Tatwala Baba, a cave-dwelling Himalayan yogi. He's been an inspiration on parts of my journey too. On the next page, we have Mother Teresa of Calcutta and the author together. To the right, we have Swami Muktananda, founder of the Siddha Yoga path. Bottom left, we have S.N. Goenkaji, master of Buddhist Vipassana meditation. And on the lower right, there's the Dalai Lama of Tibet and the author. Tell me how many of these spiritual leaders you know. Finally, we have above a picture of Dev Prayag, where the author met Kailas Baba, who taught him how to live as a hermit in the jungle. And below that, one of the Himalayan caves where the author dwelled. Yep, that's a cave. Gee, you share, the Dalai Lama is taller than you thought. In this picture, he does stand taller than our author. Although if I recall from our last chapter, the author mentioned that they were 5'6", I believe, at the time. Maybe they had a growth spurt, I don't know. But those are all the pictures to start the second chapter. Let's dive right into it. May this reading relax your mind and awaken your heart. On the day of my departure, I squeezed down the aisle of an airplane, trying not to knock anyone in the head with my duffel bag. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said to a middle-aged American woman seated on the aisle. "Can I get to my window seat?" She jerked her head up and frowned, and I could hear her thinking, "Find another seat." I certainly preferred to do so. But the plane was full, and the passengers in the aisle behind me were impatient. I carefully squeezed past her to reach my assigned place. From beneath her bouffant, bouffant? That's a new word for me too. She glowered at my long hair. I chose to keep my attention out the window. Minutes later, I peeked from the corner of my eye, only to be jolted by her unrelenting stare. A delay was announced. It was going to be a long flight. A bouffant is a big giant hairdo like Dolly Parton or Elvis. Thank you, dear Orla. Time passed, and again I peeked sideways, but this time, instead of the lady with the bouffant hairdo, I saw a fascinating figure in black jeans, black boots, and a black sleeveless t-shirt. Silver bracelets circled his fair, thin arms. His long, straight hair was white as snow, as was his skin. His eyes were an albino pink, but his mischievous smile filled me with joy. This man looked so uncommon, yet familiar. I had seen him before. Yes, he was a legendary rock and roll star, one of my favorites, Johnny Winter. "What's happening, brother? I'm Johnny," he said. "They call me Little Monk. I replied. He greeted me with a soul brother's handshake. How did you get to this seat? I asked him. Or how did you to get this seat? That's what it says. I asked him. Someone else was here a minute ago. Johnny chuckled and, in his trademark Texan drawl, replied, Man, was that woman sitting next to you uptight? She came storming down the aisle and brewed up a big old hassle, demanding another seat. She don't like our kind, little monk. But you know, that's all right. The stewardess swapped my seat to keep us brothers together. We had plenty of time to talk. I shared with him my spiritual longing, and he shared with me candid stories of his life. I told him that I had recently seen a great show of his in Florida with Janis Joplin. I don't know. His slender body rocked with laughter. Never was there a wilder, crazier woman on either side of the Mississippi River. He said Janis was confused, lusty, and stoned out, but a good kid. She was, he said, like a sister to him, but he worried for her. Little Janis is burning her candle from both ends. I don't know how long she'll last. Waxing serious, his pinkish eyes gazed into mine. You know, little monk, money and fame can destroy people. Say a little prayer for her. As the engines roared, we zoomed down the runway and soared into the sky. Our hearts seemed to fly as we talked of the great blues legends from Chicago and the Mississippi Delta. Johnny was supercharged on this subject. Soul brother, we can go on rapping forever. I ain't going to sweat it if this old plane never lands. Suddenly, he noticed the harmonica attached to my belt and shouted, You play the harp! Let's jam, man! In an instant, he had his harmonica in hand. Pick a song. Do you know Mother-in-Law Blues by Little Junior Parker? I asked. It's Jan like January. Thank you, G. Janice. Right on, man. Right on. His thumb shot up. 30,000 feet in the sky, and to my great amazement, the famous Johnny Winter began to perform with me as his partner. Older people stared in condemnation, while younger passengers smiled gleefully. The young airline hostess, too, swayed in the aisle to a free concert. Absorbed in the blues, Johnny and I were oblivious. The plane landed in JFK in New York, and Johnny and I strolled into the terminal. At the gate, a beautiful Danish model was waiting for Johnny. Onlookers marveled. Thrilled to see me with Johnny Winter, Frank and Gary were impressed with my good luck. Gary stroked his wavy beard and beamed. Hey, monk, he joked, pointing at Johnny's girl. Don't you wish she was waiting for you instead of us? Tonight, I replied, shaking their hands, we'll begin our spiritual quest. I think I'll be less distracted with you guys. We arrived in Europe. On our first night in Luxembourg, we slept in a campground, crammed into a single tent. The three of us lay in our sleeping bags, full of anticipation for what the next day would bring. Finally, roosters crowed the arrival of dawn. Jumping out of the tent into the crisp morning air, Gary and I stretched, savoring our good fortune and breathing in the fragrance of evergreens and flowering trees. Suddenly, a shriek rang out. No! God damn it, no! Frank emerged from the tent, pale and tormented. I've been robbed. All my money's gone. Gary and I scrambled into the tent, searching everywhere. Frank had already given up. I've searched. There's no use, he said. Gary placed his palm on Frank's shoulder and whispered, It's all right, brother. We'll take care of you. Whatever we have is yours, Frank, I consoled him. We don't need money. We have each other. Frank cast his head down, shook it back and forth, and announced that there was no way we would make it with what we had left. He was going home immediately. "You guys coming?" he asked. I had less than $20 of my own. Still, Gary's eyes met mine, and I silently transmitted my resolve to stay. He agreed, and we bid Frank, who spent only one night in Europe, a sad goodbye. As Frank slung his backpack over his shoulder and paced away back to the security of home, Gary and I pondered the mysteries that awaited us. Later that day I found a creek to sit beside. The high trees danced in the wind, and the water flowed effortlessly. With Frank gone, I had almost nothing, but strangely, I felt free. Quick enough, Gary and I were invited to breakfast with some hippies from Holland. After sharing their muesli with us, some food that I'm not familiar with, Cosmos and Chooch offered us a ride to the Netherlands. What a wonderful pair of names, Cosmos and Chooch. Soon, we were cruising through the countryside of Belgium and Holland in their Volkswagen van, grazing out our open windows at vast fields carpeted with hundreds of thousands of red, yellow, white, pink, and violet tulips, all in perfect rows blooming in the sunshine, as the cassette player boomed out Donovan, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. Muesli, like porridge, you think? Thank you, dear Talita. You are all full of such knowledge. After a stop at Abcoude, oh my goodness, Abcoude, the idyllic home of one of our new friends, we arrived in Amsterdam, where we were led to an abandoned warehouse, where dozens of hippies sprawled on the floor, freely smoking marijuana. The lights were dim. Rats scampered here and there. A shaggy band played on an improvised stage of rotting plywood stretched across milk crates. Muesli is like a German cereal made of dried fruit, nuts, granola. Oh, thank you for telling me, dear Kelly. With hashish pipe in hand and a wild grin, Chooch blurted, "I'll see you guys. Maybe on my pilgrimage to Haight-Ashbury, the Mecca for hippies." Then he waved goodbye and disappeared into the smoke. In the days that followed, Gary and I learned to survive with practically no money at all. Early in the morning, we'd spend a few cents on a loaf of bread, hot out of the baker's oven. Under a tree, we cut the loaf in half and relished it as our subsistence for the day. This shared loaf of dry bread was to become our daily diet wherever we traveled. On special occasions, we managed to procure a hunk of cheese, too. We usually slept either as guests in the homes of people we met, under trees, inside abandoned buildings, or in public crash pads. What little money we had, we tried to stretch for as long as possible. The European counterculture flocked to Amsterdam. Dam Square was the social center. Hundreds of seekers congregated in venues like Fantasio, Paradiso, and Melkweg to hang out and hear music. Another popular place was Cosmos, a spiritual nightclub, quote-unquote. It was there one night that I met a tall American with a partly shaved head, ponytail, and white robes. "Do you want some spiritual food?" he inquired. I nodded meekly. "Cup your hands." When I did, he dumped a huge ladle of fruit salad mixed with runny yogurt into them. As the concoction dripped down my arms, I stood there, perplexed. "What do I do now?" I asked. "Eat it," he laughed, taking his leave. Little did I know that destiny would have us meet again, thousands of miles away, in a setting beyond my wildest imagination. Gary and I were making friends from the world over, but pleasant as it was, I was distracted. Something I could not comprehend was calling me. I found myself retreating to museums to contemplate religious art or to Vondel Park to meditate and study spiritual books. But my favorite place was sitting over a canal. While the city might rage with a passion for power, wealth, and a multitude of pleasures, and while fashions and fads changed like the seasons, the cool water of the canal seemed at total peace as it flowed through it all. I would sit for hours watching the water, wondering where the current of my life was leading me. Let's pause our reading of The Journey Home there for now. Thank you very much for listening with me. That concludes our Shravana portion of the Sangha dedicated to listening. We had quite a long Shravana, but now we are formally going into Manana, dedicated to Q&A, and we can turn our attention to whatever is on our hearts and minds. Welcome everyone who joined while we were reading. May we seek calm amidst chaos together, and just like our author, reflect in nature's beauty. Thank you, dear Anazek, for your heart me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Tan, how are you? Thank you for your heart me. Bhuvasvaha Tatsavitur Vareniham Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Hello, dear Katie, if I correctly remember. User 623, your name is. Dear Plumberry, you ask, what do I think of the aliens, man? Well, I think that we are the aliens to other aliens. We're pretty weird. I'm still trying to figure out what it means to be human. That's for sure. Hello, dear Phi Omega. Sky Guardian, you ask if I prefer Yamuel or Yamantha. You can call me whatever you want, dear Sky Guardian. Hello, dear Bubbles. I'm doing well. How are you? I'd love to know how all of you are feeling in this moment. If you want to share, of course. Hello, dear Mooney. Yamathy works too, dear Bubbles. Yamathy, Yamson, Yammy, Yaminator. Yamo. No. Okay, I'm gonna make one exception. Not that. Sky Guardian. I take it back. My goodness. Hello, dear Susan. You're feeling sick? I'm sorry that you're feeling sick, dear Susan. If I could offer you a nice bowl of Khichdi right now, which is the equivalent of chicken noodle soup, but sattvic, I would. But I hope to offer you some healing in the form of a safe place for you to express yourself here and receive love. Yam bam. I like that, Scott. I wish you lots of healing. Dear Bubbles, you feel quite comfortable, relaxed, and accomplished at the moment. I'm so happy to hear that, dear Bubbles. Hello, dear James. Little Black Muse. Dear Raina. Chairman. Well, you might have to call me Couchman. I may barely fit the definition for man, but I am not on a chair, that's for sure. Yamaha. Yam bones. Or just yam. Hello, dear Rocket Man. Good night, dear CC. Thank you for your follow, dear Tara. Little Black Muse, you share that apparently you missed the Moksha interview. Oh no, you didn't at all. It wasn't live. Yeah, that was recorded privately, and I'm still editing it. That'll hopefully be finished in a few days. Don't worry. Dearest Magdalene Priya, you share instead of wombology, it's yambology. What would one study in yambology if you had to take a class? What would be the curriculum, the syllabus? Thank you, dear Inevitable, for your heartmate. Om Aim Saraswatyai Namah. Studying the mind of Yam. I don't think there's much to study, because let me tell you, up here on the left side there's nothing right, and on the right side there's nothing left. Dear Mooney, you ask, do I run everything myself? Like my TikTok and uploads and editing? I get some help from Sky Guardian for many things. But for most things, I employ the help of programs that I've written in Python, computer language, that helps me with creating transcripts for the videos, processing those transcripts into descriptions and titles, and creating images for the thumbnails, things like that. I wrote a program to help me with that. But when it comes to uploading and filling in the blanks and all that stuff, yes, it's all done by me. Dear Kelly, you're wondering, what was the sattvic soup I mentioned? It's not a soup, but it has a similar feeling as like chicken noodle soup. It's actually a rice dish. It's called Khichdi, but it's very different than what you imagine a rice dish probably to be. It's kind of its own genre of food. I wouldn't know how to describe it. Khichdi. Khichdi. Rice and mung lentils and good vegetables and spices. It's the equivalent of chicken noodle soup in India. And it doesn't use any animal products, which is nice. Sky Guardian had sent me some recently, and I ate it. It was delicious. Definitely one of my favorite. Thank you for pinning that. Yeah. Yamaste, dear Dar EC. Dear Orla, what is happening? I see that you expressed that your feelings are hurt. Can I help you in some way? Is there a message I didn't see? It didn't come through? Bubbles asked, do you need us to rough someone up? I am here for you, dear Orla. Kara, you ask, will I eventually have an edited version of me reading the entire book in one video? Oh my goodness. That's an idea. Logistically, I think my computer would explode. That video would be hundreds of gigabytes. I don't think I have the hardware to create a video like that, unfortunately. But I love the idea of that. Yeah, but hours and hours of content in one video. I need a supercomputer. Probably. I wouldn't know how to make that possible, unfortunately. Maybe the audio. Audio might work. It would take a while though. I might need some help with that. Dear J. Lohan, thank you for your pair of roses. Om Im Namo Maya Shaktaye. And dear Kai, thank you for your pair of roses too. Am Namah Parashaktaye. All of the readings are uploaded, in case you didn't know, on my YouTube channel. So you can have an audio experience if you can put up with the fact that it's in multiple videos, but all in one playlist. Dear Magdalene Priya, you've been curious for a while. Where did I retrieve my prayer shawl? Oh, the one behind me? It is one that I found on the ground in a Value Village, which is a thrift store. And I must confess that I took it home without paying. Not because I thought I was stealing, but because I genuinely felt like it wasn't an item that was for sale. It had no tag on it. It was just randomly on the floor. And I felt so called to it that I picked it up and I ended up walking out the door with it without even thinking. And it's been with me ever since. It felt very serendipitous. For many years I didn't know what it meant. Finally, I discovered that it was Sanskrit, and I translated it. Inside of the sunflowers is a name for the divine feminine. in her vocative form, meaning O Radha. Radha is a form of the divine that refers to the bliss-giving component of the divine feminine, her ability to provide bliss, to bestow bliss. Thank you, dear John Simon, for your heartmeet and TGIF. Om Pram Hanumate Namah. But yes, my mother's favorite flower are sunflowers. You've got a great memory, dear Snuffleupagus. Dear Orla, you thought you were being ignored for talking about grieving over being blocked in this community by the ding-dang government. You were mistaken. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your messages, dear Orla. Yeah, you are a lovely part of this space. I would never ignore you. Thank you for your trust and understanding, dear Magdalene. Hello, dear Shelley Belly. Little Black Muse, you ask, can I explain prana? Sure. Notice that when you yawn, oftentimes you feel a current rush up and down the spine. You might even hear a vibration. Or when you sneeze, you feel this release of energy. Or if you hear something spooky, you feel shivers come up your spine. All of that is various prana. Prana is the flow of experience in your own body, sensation, and it's not entirely contained by the body either. As a part of the subtle body, it extends, and when it extends outside the physical body, it's called the aura. When someone tickles you, they are exciting your prana, for example. I think we all have an experience of what that feels like. When you get feelings of jolts, feeling of current, electricity in your body, all of that is prana. Prana gets literally translated to breath. And so when you translate scriptures on meditation into English, it says meditate on your breath. But actually it's the prana. When you meditate on your prana, makes for a very powerful experience. You get things moving. You release certain experiences that you were holding on to. And you unlock dormant memories, feelings, experiences that you didn't even know were still a part of you. Kundalini is one kind of prana, for example. Prana is the force that draws the breath. Yes, that is one prana as well, indeed. There are, depending on how you count them, 10 different pranas, variously called vayus, more generally. Vayu means wind, the winds of the body. Vayu is also the element of air in the system of elements of fire, earth, water, and air. Vayu. That is the element of air. It refers not just to the drawing of the breath, but of all vital processes in the body. And you can feel a flow of energy, a flow of sensation awareness. To demonstrate prana, I was actually talking to someone about this recently, that when someone massages you, that they're really just engaging your prana too. So much of massage is not physical, but energetic. Reiki is just prana. Chi is prana. All these things are prana. If you want to engage your prana, you can listen to your favorite song, listen to a powerful beat drop, or watch a favorite movie, a childhood movie. These are all ways that you can access your prana. You feel that sensation up and down your spine, or in your heart, or deep in your... When you get butterflies in your tummy, that's all prana. Prana is the energy that flows between the chakras, along the nadis. So any work, any meditation on chakras will be engaging your prana too. If you get someone to tickle you right now, you'll feel it. You can even, various points on the body, you can tap to get it flowing. You can also just caress yourself, as lonely as that sounds, but generally. Caress yourself. You can caress your arms very gently. You feel it flowing. Various parts of our bodies are more sensitive. The palms of our hands, very sensitive. Vital life energy is a great translation, dear G. Dear Shelly Belly, you share, you're going to miss me. You're in tears, but you know you're still going to send me the wee kitty on Instagram. Don't worry, I'll still be around. My internet presence is not limited to TikTok. Dear Kangaroo, you ask, what's my zodiac? I think a Libra. But if you take into account the precession of the ecliptic, I think it's a Virgo. October 1st, 2001. That's right, Starlight. Wow. If I was going to steal, it would be a prayer shawl. Unfortunately, I had stolen more things in my life, but that's behind me now. I'm sure many of you have heard the story of the time I was charged for Grand Theft Auto. This is true. I am a charged felon, technically speaking, but not a convicted felon. There's the difference. I was charged, but it was dropped. But if you're thinking it was a car, SUV, a sedan, a truck, a vehicle, it was actually one of those utility golf caddy looking things on university. It was like a setup. In the middle of the night, there was this golf caddy on campus of my university. I was thinking, well, you know, I'd love to pretend to be like Mario right now and play Mario Kart, just drive in circles. I kid you not. I got in. The first corner I turned, there was campus security. And who was campus security talking to? The Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP. They're like, not just police officers, but like, I don't know what the equivalent is in America. Maybe like SWAT, you know, when you get swatted. The RCMP was talking to campus, and here I am. I'm in a sombrero and a house coat. The story, if you thought the story couldn't get more ridiculous. I'm in a house coat and a sombrero because that's what I was wearing in the middle of the night. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm screwed, and I was screwed. I got charged with Grand Theft Auto and obstruction of justice because I had never been arrested before. I didn't know what to do. I was pretty cheeky, and they didn't like my cheekiness. But fortunately, I had a lawyer. And I kid you not, the story just keeps getting better, by the way. My lawyer wrote, not to the judge, but the boss of the judge who was going to see the case, the Crown Counsel. So I never got to see the letter, but he told me that what he wrote was that I was trying to impress a girl, that I had, and I quote, watched too many romantic action movies and was trying to get the girl. And apparently, the Crown Counsel empathized so much that the case was dropped before it even reached court. But the story gets even better than that. The cop who had given the charges was so unsatisfied with that, so disappointed, so defeated, that he gave me this voicemail that said, you could hear him saying this through gritted teeth. So it seems, Liam, we won't be seeing each other in court next Sunday. But I would expect to receive a message from your university in a few days. So because I guess he was unsatisfied with the court's decision, he then went and told my university. And so my university ended up scheduling this meeting with me, this private kind of meeting, to make sure that I was a good student. And I thought, well, if the story worked with the Crown Counsel about watching too many action romantic movies, I thought it might work with them. And it was a call of about 4 or 5 people, and I used the exact same line. I think I might have watched too many romantic action movies, and I still don't understand what's so relatable about that, but everyone in the call nodded, and it was dismissed there as well. And that's the end of that story. Don Suela, you share that I can actually ask for a copy of my mugshot. Oh, I did actually. Yeah. They didn't give it to me because you have to go through a formal process, and I didn't want to. But the story gets better. By the way, when I was getting my fingerprints pressed in, it was a very intimate moment, by the way. You know, when you get your mugshot and you have to get your fingerprints. Nowadays, they don't actually use ink, but it's just this, you know, sci-fi scanner that you press your hand on. For some reason, my hand wouldn't scan. So it was a very intimate moment where this officer was just holding hands with mine, pressing into the scanner, and we were making small talk while our hands were just against each other. And he was like, "So what did you do?" And I said, I took a ride in one of those golf cart thingies on campus. It's a police officer, mind you. And he said, nice. And that was it. And I had asked him if I could have a copy of the mugshot. He was like, yeah, it's a formal process if you really want to. But it gets better. You see, in British Columbia, the province of Canada where I live, there's an app. It's like a BC app, whatever, provincial app for provincial services. When I first created an account because I had to do something with my taxes or whatever, I noticed that they had already given a profile picture for me. And I think you can see where this is going, because I had never uploaded a picture. You could choose to upload your own photo. I thought, did they use my driver's license? Nope. So now my profile photo in my BC Services app is my mugshot. So I did end up getting that photo. I can just open my app, and there it is. There's so many more funny parts of that story, but I think we'll leave it there for now. Am I smiling in it? I am smiling in it. I'm wearing a leather jacket. Unfortunately, this was many days after, so I wasn't still wearing the sombrero and the housecoat, but that would have been even greater. That's hilarious, dear Orla. You can't wait till I'm world famous and the news just has my mugshot for promo. Like that famous, who was it, David Bowie. David Bowie has a very attractive mugshot. People put that in their rooms as posters. Hybrid Jen, you ask, so how many romantic action movies have I watched? I don't even know. Probably like a couple. I don't know. I didn't come up with that. It was my lawyer. There were other people there. There was a girl, one of my friends. Yeah. She did not get charged. Even though she was definitely just as guilty as I was. Anyway, that's her karma. I respect it. Oh yeah, it was a funny conversation phoning my mom. Hi Mom. So, how are you, by the way? Oh good. Are you baking cookies? That's nice. Oh, I'd love some. Yeah. By the way, I got arrested. Oh, nothing serious. Just Grand Theft Auto, obstruction of justice. You know, just a little felony. Nothing much. Actually, one of the first things that my mom said on the phone, she was disappointed, not what I did, but what I got caught. That the fact that I got caught was the most disappointing thing. She said, if you're gonna do it, just don't get caught. That's my mother for you. She always taught me, if I'm gonna be mischievous, at least don't get caught. Yeah, she is a badass. I agree. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for the hat and mustache you had sent. Not quite the sombrero, but close enough. Om Kamyar Maha Kalikaye Namaha. Dear Samra, thank you for your galaxy. Very kind of you. Om Kali Maha Kali Kali Ke Parameshwari Sarvananda Kare Devi Narayani Namostute. Who's driving? Oh, it was me who was driving. John Simon, you had asked, is YouTube as valid as TikTok for doing lives? Yeah. If that happens to work better when the app changes here, then I can certainly explore that. That's right, dear G. Don't get caught. And make sure it's the most memorable story possible. It's the lesson of the day. If there's a lesson in there, I don't know. Now, dear Poo-Poo, you ask how to keep your energy and remember why you're here. We are an infinite source of energy. You can never exhaust that. But we do have to take care of our bodies and minds, which are the instruments for using that energy, the tools. Make sure you give this body and mind lots of rest. One thing to know about me is that rest is always more important than anything else. Most anything else. There's some exceptions. But if I was tired, I'd never go to school. I'd never even go to work. Because I know that having a healthy body is much more important than a credential or even money. A rested body is more important than all the money in the world to me. If this body is energetic, that's worth more than 1 million, more than 1 billion, more than 1 trillion, etc. And I've never regretted that, even though it's costed me. What it would cost me if I lived my life exhausted, that I'm sure I would regret much more. What a blessing it is to have this life. Why work so hard exhausting yourself? Make sure you get as much rest as you can. Mental health is so important as well. Take care of your mental health. If something is stressing you out, I don't care how important it is, drop whatever that is. Nothing is worth losing your mental health over. Because if you don't have your mental health, you get nothing in life. It doesn't matter if you have the most wonderful mansion in the world with the most wonderful partner, with the most wonderful cars and children and job and degree and whatever. If you're depressed and anxious, none of that means anything. You can have everything in the world, but if you don't have your mental health, how will you be happy? Conversely, if you take so much care of your mental health, it doesn't matter if you have not even a scrap of clothing on you. If mentally you are well, you are happy, inwardly you are exuberant, you could be like Tarzan swinging from vine to vine in the jungle, and you would be exactly where you want to be in that moment. So your inner world is so important too. Thank you, dear John Simon, for the finger heart you had sent. Om Ganganapataye Namah. Dear Anazek, thank you for your 36 roses as well. Om Tham Namaschandraya. And dear Gina, thank you for your trio of roses. Radhe Radhe. Right, dear Don Suela, if you don't listen to your body when it tells you to rest, it will eventually force you to rest. If you don't take time for your body will make time for you to take care of it. That is for sure. Now, dear Mooney, you raise an excellent point. You need money for a healthy body, though, no? To a degree, absolutely. With money, we can pay for good foods, we can pay for shelter, we can pay for medicine, and things like that. But money is not sufficient. As we said before, you could have all the money in the world, but if you don't take care of your mental health, you probably won't take care of your physical health either. There is a deeper correlation between your mind and your body than money and the body. The best currency for physical health, therefore, is mental health. Take care of your mind, it will make good decisions. You can exhaust yourself to try to make a living, but in the process you might end up affecting your mental health, and then what? If we don't take care of our mind, we certainly can't take care of our body. So one's mental health is absolutely a priority. Besides that, we have so much good karma, all of us, in our bank accounts. Do you know that if you went up to almost anyone in the world and genuinely and sincerely explained your situation without crossing a boundary, that most people have the ability to empathize with you and perhaps support you in some way? That if you were ever truly in need, you have people, even strangers, to rely on. I think we often forget how social we are of creatures. If you don't believe me, if someone came to your door, you never met them, and they didn't give you a bad vibe or anything, they just asked, hey, I don't have any food, I'm really struggling, I've got children, or, I just lost my job, I know you don't know me, I'd be grateful for even toast. Would you slam the door on their face? Probably not. If you had some bread, you would probably give them a slice of toast, or maybe even invite them in. Or if you really couldn't do anything, you'd at least offer help in some other way. Like maybe you can try a few doors down. I know my neighbor Susan or whatever is really caring. We have so much help within us all to provide for each other. If we were ever in a situation like that, I think there's room to believe in ourselves. Believe that there's something worth taking care of by others in you. There's a community for everyone. That's a very good addition too, dear Bubbles. Some things, however, are worth discomfort. Getting out of bed for, challenging yourself with, striving for. Discomfort is a sign of growth. It can be. When that discomfort is intentional, as we strive to expand our comfort zone, that is indeed how we grow. So there is a middle way between comfort and discomfort. All right, a little bit of a change in topic. Dear hashtag, you ask, does negative energy enable anti-gravity flying saucers? That's a very good question. Yes, I think you're right. Negative energy creates the opposite effect in space-time than positive energy. And for the record, because I know many people are probably going to think this, antimatter is still positive energy. Everything we know has positive energy. We don't know of anything that has negative energy, except for possibly dark energy, which is expanding the universe. But in theory, an object with negative energy, you'd flip all the signs in many equations, including the equation for curvature in Einstein's field equations, his theory of relativity. Positive energy curves space in so that nearby things tend to fall, so to speak, in that gravitational well. Negative energy would create an outward curvature, where it would be like a hill where things would roll away from, so to speak. A white hole might have that effect, for example. But doesn't the dynamical Casimir effect create negative energy? I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's relative. Just like how if you add up the masses, the energies of the quarks that make up a proton, you'll find that a proton actually has less energy than the sum total of energies of the quarks. How does that make sense? How can A plus B plus C equal something less? It's because there is a negative energetic binding between the quarks. Actually, the quarks have less energy while they're bound together than would they have theoretically if they existed on their own. But that doesn't mean there's actually something called negative energy which is subtracting from that value. But it's a relative thing, that we take some reference point, call that 0, and then relative to that, just like Celsius or Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit isn't absolute 0. Negative 10 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit isn't literally a negative temperature. There's no such thing, as far as we know. All temperatures are positive on an absolute scale, like Kelvin. There is no negative Kelvin. So I don't know where the 0 is being placed in the Casimir effect, but it's probably not an absolute 0. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your rose. Om Harim Namah Shivaya. Dear John Simon, you're wondering if I will ever travel to Europe. I'd love to. Yeah. Dear Poo Poo, you ask, am I on live often? I try for every day, but usually I might have a day off a week on average. Sometimes months goes by without any days off. Sometimes I'll take a whole week off. But on average, most days of the week I'm on. Dear David, you ask, do we really control the inner voice, or does it have its own agenda? What an excellent question. It does have its own agenda, but its agenda is determined by us. So both answers are correct. The agenda of the inner voice is to serve your sense of self. So when the sense of self is fixed, that fixes the agenda of the mind. The mind is very creative, but no matter what it's thinking about, no matter how abstract it's thinking, it's all revolving around whatever one's sense of self is. So if your sense of self doesn't change, your inner voice doesn't change either. But if your sense of self does change, your inner voice changes too. So to change the agenda, we simply change who we feel we are. How do we change who we feel we are? Through our awareness, through our observations, which we freely make. We look at our life that we've lived thus far up to this moment. We see for ourselves the opportunities available, and we make little adjustments in our sense of self. Maybe you come so far thinking that you want to be the next heir to inherit your family business, but then you see for yourself another opportunity in life. You're called for something much higher. Now your thoughts begin to revolve around something new. It's no longer about how you can possibly take care of the family business. Now it's about how you can fulfill wanting to become the best baker in the world, wanting to bring humanitarian aid to Lebanon, wanting to be the first person on Mars. I don't know. But by expanding your sense of self, the mind naturally follows. Hey, good night, dear ISKCON. It's nice to have you here, dear Letty. Well, thank you, dear Michelle. You guys are funny. I have a question of the day for you all. If you're interested in exploring it with me. There it is. My question of the day. It's a long one. If anxiety was a misunderstood friend, what would you say or ask to better your relationship with it? Perhaps you can think to the sequel to Inside Out. Inside Out 2. If that's a movie you've seen, character in it called Anxiety. If you talk to your own anxiety, and you saw it as a misunderstood friend. That's the premise How would you begin that conversation? What would you talk about? You're good at this question, dear Buddhi. You can give me a dissertation on this. Perfect. Well, I look forward to your creativity and fitting a dissertation into a TikTok comment or multiple. What's on your mind, G? I like that. What is on your mind, G? Spend serious. You share. You tell it. We just aren't compatible for friendship, and end things there. What's even lower than the friend zone? Forget about friend zoning your anxiety. You're enemy zoning it. Gotta spend time with other anxiouses. You tell it to care less, dear Wayanti. Want to roll 1 or 2? I like that. Share is very important. Where did you learn such strong pattern recognition? I love that, dear Jake. Gina, you share. I love you, but please be gentle. Oh, I love that so much, dear Gina. Acquaintance zone, dear Spend Serious. Popo, you share. Thank you for being that voice that shows me what I truly am, what I deserve, what's meant for me. I love that. Mooney, you're right. I understand. You want the best for me. I need you to look out for me. But sometimes we're okay and we're safe. Then you'll give her tea, just like Inside Out too. I knew you'd have a good answer. Beautiful, dear Moni. Christmas, you're right. Double it and give it to the next person. That's funny. Double it and give it to me. I'll take it for you. Did you read a poem I wrote about you? That's a beautiful question. Very important. Faithful being, you'd say, you can have the day. I'll have the nights. That's so creative. I like that. Dear Don Suela, you share. You actually do talk to your anxiety sometimes. You reassure it. You're safe right now. Perfect. Yeah, me too. Dear Orla, you would ask anxiety, do you think we can't make it out of this? We have every time before, baby. I love that. Mooney, you share. You think you spent a lot of time hating yourself the way you were as a teenager. I think that's called being a teenager. At least you're not alone in that experience. Real G, you share. Thanks for making me feel alive. It's beautiful. Please calm down. Shares Hybrid Jen. Mooney, you share. Then from like 16 to 18, you learn to embrace yourself. I'm very happy to hear that. Very important, you add. You know, I feel you, bro, right? I like that. Like, what is this quote-unquote negative expression trying to express? Shares Mooney. Abby, you would tell them they are being unnecessary and to stop bringing down the vibe. I understand where that comes from. I think we know how we would feel if someone told that to us. Namaste, dear Loopy Lane. Michelle, you share, how about you listen to Camille Saint-Saëns, I don't know if I'm pronouncing their name right, Carnival of the Animals, and then maybe you'll calm down. I like that. Very important you share. Want to drink some mimosas while we watch the sunrise? How sweet. Dear May, you think you would say to anxiety, I see you. I love the people you're trying to protect too. Very validating. Sarini, you would offer a kiss. Oh, if I could smooch my anxiety, I would. Mooney, you ask, what would I say? Oh, I'll wait until I hear from Jay, for example. You'd say anxiety. Thank you for giving me the signs of something I can let go of. Beautiful. Profound. Dearest G to infinity, you write, anxiety, you will always be my favorite. So precious. Hypergen, sometimes you say, take the wheel. Get us out of here. I like that. Empower the anxiety sometimes. It definitely has a use. Yeah. Make the anxiety feel better with a little smooch. Just like the kiss on the forehead of a cat who's feeling a little overstimulated right now. Deeply right. Anxiety, just you and I till the end, baby. You guys are so creative. I knew I'd have a blast asking this question. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm really grateful for these answers. There's another little segment I want to get to. But dear Cody Jane, you would ask, what if it all works out? I like that. We can continue exploring this, but I'm going to pause it there for now. That was fun, everyone. Thank you. If you were still typing one out, you are welcome to submit it anyway. But I would say to my anxiety, as I have said, I'm also one of those that speaks to their anxiety. I like to treat it like part of me that's, you know, a frightened child. Just in the way you'd console a child. You are so sensitive, you know. You have the utmost sensitivity to life, and that's beautiful. You are so acutely aware of all the sensations of the people and places, of the temperature, of the texture, of the tones, of the tastes, of the smells, of the colors, of the lights, of the volume, of the frequency. I don't blame you for getting overwhelmed with life, and I thank you greatly for being a voice in me that always speaks out in case there is any danger. I hear you, I see you. I look forward to keeping you with me. I will absolutely validate your concerns, and I'll consider them as I am right now. I'll assess my surroundings, make sure that you feel comfortable here, and attend to whatever I can. Something like that. Speaking of anxiety, dear Joe, you ask, how do I cope with my anxiety? With so much wisdom and smarts. Well, that's very kind of you. I do get overwhelmed sometimes with my interests and curiosities. Spend a lot of time studying really abstract things. It can feel very ungrounding sometimes. Yeah. I think you had highlighted smarts versus wisdom. Wisdom absolutely consoles a racing mind. True wisdom is always very comforting and peaceful. Smarts, intellectual pursuits can get very overwhelming at times, and I've definitely felt pretty ungrounded exploring concepts and theoretical worlds of mathematics and physics and even spirituality. So trying to balance it with very practical things, like just waking up with gratitude in the morning for something, having at least some routine in your life, focusing on little moments, engaging in kindness. Those simple pursuits definitely calm the mind in a lot of ways. Jay, you share that Ram Dass had a word for loving his anxiety, and it's schmooze. Schmooze. Can you use it in a sentence, dear Jay? Schmooze. I like that. And it's like, you're right. Relax. Trust me. Everything will be fine. I will take you to the places where no one has ever been. That's beautiful. And so important that is, dear Jake. Let me amplify that. If you shame your anxiety, you make it more scared. Indeed. Good lesson. Hello, dear little men. Jay, you share, a worried thought would be nicknamed a shmoo. He made them cute. Ah, the schmooze. Now I get it. Yeah. At nighttime, the schmooze arise. Yeah. Someone looks at you the wrong way and you get a shmoo. You feel like you ate too much or too little. Suddenly a shmoo starts talking in you. Starts schmoozing on you. Dynasty, you're right. Anxiety is an energy that requires special attention to calm it down. Indeed. I'm really grateful for these discussions on anxiety. Mooney, you told your little sister this way. You think she's also quite sensitive in the ADHD way, which causes her anxiety. A lot of the other adults don't recognize that that's her reality. You tell her it's her superpower. It can help her do great things, but it's also a kryptonite. But there's things we can do to mitigate those bad effects. What a wonderful big sister you are, dear Moni. Namaste, dear Myrna. Sounds like we're a bunch of anxious friends here. We all know what it's like to go through anxiety. I appreciate that. Speaking of things to go through together, I would like to introduce a brand new segment. Wait for it. Da 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 da. Allow me to introduce Room. Wait for it. Why is Ruminations, the brand new segment where we walk through some of the mystic poetry of a wonderful Sufi master named Rumi. We had previously, in lives before, read some random poems through this book, The Pocket Rumi. But you know, I would really love to actually formally go through this book. I think there's just so much wisdom here that it really would befit us all to go through it page by page rather than random poem by random poem. So I thought we'd have a little mini Shravana section fit in here. I know we've got some Rumi lovers. Dear Myrna, you're wondering, where is Rumi born? It's a good question. I'm sure where he was born, it's been changing a lot in the Middle East. Lots of borders being drawn and erased over the hundreds of years after his lifetime. But let's dive into that together. To begin our adventure into the pocket Rumi, we'll start by reading the back of the book, of course, to wet your whistle. The renowned Persian Sufi mystic Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi. If any of you want to teach me how to better pronounce his name, I am all ears. He lived from 1207 to 1273, so 800 years ago. He's one of the most widely read poets in the world today. His compassionate insight into the nature of human existence, his joyful humor, his deep wisdom, and his ecstatic songs of divine union have endeared him to readers for more than 700 years. Selected from his most loved works, this book contains the very best of Rumi's poetry in superb translation. By turns soaring, inspiring, lyrical, entertaining, and always full of profound guidance, Rumi's transcendent words penetrate to the very depths of one's heart, offering eloquent expression for what lies there. Jalal al-Din al-Rumi. Cheers, Myrna. Thank you. First 2 pages, we get a nice poem to start us off from Mathnawi 3, 2537 to 2538. The Logos is digging a channel for water to reach the next generation. During every generation, there is one who brings the word of God. Still, the sayings of those who have come before are helpful. I wonder what Rumi would think of his very own poetry being used to describe him hundreds of years later. The Logos is, of course, that Greek word which is used in the second creation story in the Bible. In the beginning was the Logos, was the Word. And the Word was with God. And God was the Word. Here's an introduction. Very short, couple of pages. Our master, Jalaluddin. Who is this Rumi who has become one of the most popular voices on the contemporary literary and spiritual scene? Why does he speak so compellingly to our sensibilities at this time? What need does he fill? What wound does he help heal? How is it that a 13th century Islamic saint should become the darling of so many who profess an interest in neither poetry nor spiritual discipline? In the mosques, in academia, in the cafes, and in the studios of Hollywood, people are reading and moreover quoting Rumi. There is no doubt that he is one of the great literary figures of all time. Within Islamic cultures, especially from the Balkans through Turkey, Iran to Pakistan and India, he is deeply loved. His works include a massive collection of lyric poems, ghazals and rubayat, as well as the 6-volume Mathnawi. a collection of rhymed couplets that weaves together a rich fabric of stories, humor, and spiritual teaching. The pivotal event in Rumi's life was his meeting with an enigmatic, peripatetic, that's a new word for me too, saint named Shamsi Tabrizi. Their encounter somehow kindled a creative and spiritual fire in Rumi that burned for the rest of his life. Rumi saw a reflection of the divine in Shams. Through this relationship, Rumi experienced the divine with an unprecedented power. In some of Rumi's more ecstatic verses, the boundaries between the divine and the human are blurred, yet Sufis have always maintained a fastidious distinction between the servant, the human being, and Lord, the divine. In the mysticism of Islam, there is no room for idolatry, material or human. It is a poetic tradition, especially in the odes and quatrains, to push the metaphors of sensual love and intoxication to their limits, for nothing else can convey the overwhelming nature of the encounter with the divine. In our Western literary tradition, we have not been prepared for this union of the sensual and the spiritual. Our own cultural history has bifurcated, religion in one direction and literature in another. The division was much less pronounced within Islam. In fact, it was practically non-existent. The Sufis, especially, were neither puritanical, nor sensually indulgent. They followed the middle way of Muhammad, peace be upon him, which included marriage, socially useful livelihood, and a life in the world, but not of it. In Rumi, we have a model of the potential harmony between the physical and the spiritual, the heart and the mind, the finite and the infinite, the human and the divine. Rumi was not a narrowly religious personality, nor was he a proponent of some form of mystical eroticism, nor was he a Promethean rebel. It would surprise many that this passionate and ecstatic man of God made a living during his entire life, partly through legal consultations within the framework of Islamic law. He prayed and fasted as any Muslim would, but he challenged the hypocritical and one-dimensional religion, quote-unquote, that is always the enemy of real spirituality. Mevlana Jalaluddin Rumi penetrated to the heart of reality and returned with the fragrance and flavor of truth. Not only is he one of the greatest literary geniuses, but most perhaps importantly, he also addresses the most important subject that can be addressed: the human being's relationship with the divine, with truth, capital T, itself. While entertaining, inspiring, informing, and subtly guiding us, Rumi's words touch us at the level where we most need to be touched, the very depths of our hearts. In doing so, Rumi never places himself in an exalted position in relation to his readers. He is a human being like us, though perhaps more patient, more humble, more forgiving, more flexible than most. This is another aspect of his greatness, that there was no discrepancy between his words and his life. His humanness and his approachability, however, may mislead us if it causes us to reduce his thought to our own level. Yet, we can only begin where we are, and everyone takes from Mevlana what she or he can. Our culture, I am sure, is only beginning to understand what is contained in Rumi, and the challenge we face is to be able to map his insight and wisdom to our own human experience. A foreword by Kabir Helminski, the translator and collator of this book. As a postscript, P.S. Much of this material has been published before, although the quatrains are new, as well as The Tale of the Bedouin and His Wife. Many of the poems that had no titles have been given titles, and I have revised about 15% of the previously published material. Generally, going forward, we'll probably read just a few poems at most. So, for our first introduction, we have already read a bit longer than usual, but that's to start us off on a good and informative note. Nonetheless, I will fulfill your desire to have a poem heard by beginning the first section, called the Rubaiyat, by Kabir and Kamil Helminski, with Lida Saidian. Again, I will need some help learning these names for the future. In comfort and abundance, the friend raised me. With vein and skin, he tailored this ragged body. It's just a robe worn by a Sufi. The heart, the whole universe, is a Khanekah, a Sufi training center, and he is my Shaykh. When I am with you, our loving won't let me sleep. Away from you, the tears won't let me sleep. God, it's amazing to be awake both nights, but how different these awakenings are. I have no companion but love, no beginning, no end, no dawn. The soul calls from within me. You, ignorant of the way of love, set me free. I dreamed of the most exquisite cupbearer, a glass of red elixir in hand, perfect in servanthood. Could this be our real master? The lover is forever like a drunkard, whose secrets spill out, forever mad, frenzied, and in love. To be self-conscious is to worry about everything, but once drunk, what will be, will be. Love is the path and direction of our prophet. We are born from love. Love is our mother. O mother, hidden behind the body's veil, concealed by our own cynical nature. If you desire the self, get out of the self. Leave the shallow stream behind, and flow into the river deep and wide. Don't be an ox pulling the wheel of the plow. Turn with the stars that wheel above you. At times I would say I had self-control. At times I felt like a prisoner of myself. All that's past, I'm no longer captivated by myself. The lesson I took from this, not to be taken by myself. I said, my heart wants a kiss from you. You say, the price of a kiss is life. My heart came up beside me and said, it's a cheap down payment. To us a different language has been given, and a place besides heaven and hell. Those whose hearts are free have a different soul, a pure jewel excavated from a different mine. Whoever sees you and doesn't smile, whose jaw doesn't drop with awe, whose qualities fail to increase in 1,000 ways, can only be the mortar and bricks of a prison. someone who received half a loaf of bread from heaven, and because of her soul's attainment was given a little nest. Someone who neither desires anybody, nor is desired by anybody. May she live happily, for she owns a happy universe. These are so addicting. I can't stop. With the beloved's life-giving waters, there is no disease. In the beloved's garden of union, there are no thorns. They say between our hearts there's a shutter we can't open. But what is there to open if no walls remain? O pure people who wander the world, amazed at the idols you see. What you are searching for out there, if you look within, you yourself are it. O daylight break, so particles may resound, so the atmosphere and the heavens will turn, and so souls heatless, headless, and legless will dance. Let me whisper into your ear where this all goes on. Love, they think you are both angelic and human. They think you are more potent than the seal of Solomon. They think you are the life force within the body of the universe. But the way I live with you is not what they think. O tribe, more beautiful than moonlight, how can you tolerate your muddy existence? You who have drowned yourself in the tavern, wake up, it is day. Why are you asleep? The way the beloved can fit in my heart, 2,000 lives could fit in this body of mine. One kernel could contain 1,000 bushels, and 100 worlds pass through the eye of a needle. Whoever gets caught in your curls, whether dead or non-existent, will come into life. You ask me not to lose myself in drunkenness, but it's inescapable. Whoever drinks the wine gets drunk. I am in love with you. What's the use of giving me advice? I have already drunk the poison. What's the use of candy? They say, bind his feet in chains, but they can't bind up my crazy heart. Whoever witnessed existence in pure meaning and in materiality found nothingness. Whoever witnessed the isness of the universe and within existence recognized non-existence. The dervish who offers the secrets of the universe gives away a kingdom in every moment. He doesn't beg for bread. A dervish bestows life. In love, there is no low or high point, neither consciousness nor the lack of it. There is no leader, no shaykh, no follower, but there are hidden ways, sleight of hand, and revelry. All right, let us pause our reading of the Pocket Rumi there for now, and conclude our first new segment that I call Ruminations. Thank you very much. I'm glad you liked that, dear Anne. You're very welcome, Michelle. Of course, Anisek. It was very fun, Orla. I'm happy to hear that. You're very welcome, dear Katie and Donsuela. I'm glad you loved that. Dear Magdalene. I know we've got many Rumi lovers here. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your rose and heart me that you had sent before. Om Ganganapataye Namah. Good stuff, Rumi. I agree, dear Reina Priya. Thank you, Truth Seeker, for your heart mate. Ram Ram. Dear Samra, thank you for your heart, your hand heart. Om Namah Shivaya. Dear $, you ask, what do I think of ISKCON, the International Society of Krishna Consciousness? Something something. I don't know what the O and the N stand for. They are a very big religious movement that stemmed from His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He was what propagated the singing of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All throughout the world, especially during the counterculture movement in America. But he traveled the whole world. I don't know much about the organization itself, but it's an absolutely valid and complete path to take you to moksha, the freedom from suffering. For those that are followers of Krishna, your spiritual practice becomes very simple. You chant his name and you study his scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam especially. And of course in the Abheda Bheda tradition, you study the life of the great saints of that tradition as well, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. There's a whole tapestry of spiritual traditions all around the world. All of them have a way of bringing you to the ultimate destination. All we have to do is ask ourselves, are we becoming peaceful? Are we becoming humble? Are we becoming loving, caring, compassionate? Are we spending more time pursuing selfless givings rather than selfish takings? Are we increasing in our love and devotion for a common cause? Are we becoming less judgmental of others? All of these means you're getting closer to the source, because the source is the ultimate treasure trove of all those virtues. Whether you call that source by one name or another, the nameless one attracts all. If you're Buddhist, if you're Christian, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're Jain, if you're Hindu, if you're Zoroastrian, if you're of your own unique path, if you're of some indigenous tradition, no matter what the path is, they all converge on truth. And that truth is the place of infinite love, infinite possibility. So if you notice that you are being immersed in more and more love, more and more possibilities, then you must be getting closer. That's all you have to keep track of. That's your altimeter on the mountain to the top. Just like when you're climbing a mountain, The higher you go, the wider perspective you have, the more lightheaded you are. You become dizzy. So too in the spiritual mountain, your perspective on life becomes more and more inclusive, like a bird's eye view of the whole of life, and you become dizzy in the intoxication of inner harmony, bliss that you cannot help but radiate and infect all those around you. Like a spiritual virus, true happiness spreads from one to another just by being you. Anyway, I really enjoyed the live stream we've had tonight. I think we're nearing a good time to begin wrapping it up, but not without entering our final segment, which is meditation, nididhyasana. We all have our unique journey. Let love be our guide, just as Rumi would want for us. Let me transition scenes now. Thank you, dear Hare Krishna, for your pair of tiny dinies. Om Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. I know there is so much joy shared here collectively. Now let us celebrate that. We will celebrate our joy in the form of a meditation. Oh dear Hare Krishna, it is no work at all, but my play. Everything I do is play. I'm good, thank you for asking, dear Paris. How are you? I trust you are as well as you can be in this moment. If you're interested in meditating with me, tonight's meditation is on feeling relaxed euphoria. Sometimes it may seem that relaxation and euphoria are opposites. Relaxation is nice, but it's not exciting. Euphoria is nice, but it can be jarring. Let us walk the line between relaxation and euphoria and enter a place of relaxed euphoria, of euphoric relaxation. If that entices you, I encourage you to find a position. A meditative position doesn't have to be stereotypical. If you want to sit like me, cross-legged with your hands in your lap, that's wonderful. If you want to hang from the ceiling like a monkey, Hanuman would like that. Maybe you've got a Hanuman in you too. If you want to move while you meditate, sometimes you can't help that either. Whatever you choose, don't limit yourself or feel like you're forced. Anyway, let's begin. Guiding the attention to the breath. Breathe in as though you are smelling the most fragrant aroma of a field of 1,000,000 flowers. And exhale as though you were releasing all of the tension from a million days of hard work. Inhale fragrance. Exhale tension. Use the power of imagination to remind yourself of what bliss would feel like. Worry not about creating any sensation at this moment. Keep breathing and simply notice how the more you fix your imagination on a feeling, so that feeling becomes yours now. Think back to a time in which you were feeling relaxed. Maybe it was this morning when you didn't want to get out of bed. Maybe you were swinging on a swing during golden hour. Sunset was happening. Perhaps you can bring to mind an ocean and you can hear its waves, the crashing of foam, the cool breeze on you. Become familiar with relaxation. What does it feel like to be relaxed? And while you open yourself up to that sensation, you may begin to notice something is starting to fill you up. A feeling that's very wonderful. Do you notice? It's very subtle. Might be in the background. Bring that feeling to the foreground. Be curious. What is the sensation? Even if there are 99 overwhelming sensations, do you notice that 1% that feels great, that hasn't left you no matter what? Imagine touching it like it were a power-up in a video game. It just radiates with energy. There's that precious spot in you, that tender heart. Even in the presence of other pains going on in the world or in your life, can you feel that untouched serenity? Touch that. Let it expand, fill you up, and keep breathing. You may notice, if your eyes are closed, some wonderful lights moving around the back of your eyelids. feel an almost quantum vibration affecting every atom of your body. Feel yourself teeming with tingling particles that light up your inner field. And take one big breath in, filling yourself completely, and just drop into that space. One more time, breathe in. And fall into that abyss of light. Feel yourself shimmering in inner pearlescence, sparkling. There's a rainbow moving through you. A whole other body, separate from the physical, a rainbow body. Let that light up. Imagine shining with reds, oranges, yellows, greens, cyans, blues, violets, magentas. You are pure color, pure hue, pure saturation. Your vibrancy is increasing. You can almost feel that all of that inner light has an exquisite vibration to it, so subtle. Breathe into it. And as you exhale, feel the wonder for this new sensation. Oh. Become mystified by your own inner cosmology. Drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, loosen your abdomen, unclench your glutes. Feel as if every joint in the body, except the ones keeping you in your meditative position, are filled with a most fantastic lubrication. All of the energy in the body flowing where it needs to, reverberating inside and out. You might even hear your own inner cosmic chant of Let that light-hearted, playful child in you plant flowers in your energetic landscape, in the garden of the self. Feel as though you're draping your hands across a field of hay. Softness of the seeds at the end of the grass. Immersed in your own nature as an extension of Mother Earth. Become receptive to love, healing grace. Listen to the miracle of your heartbeat and let it all come together. And take a deep breath in, full of gratitude. And release. And if you had your eyes closed, you can rub your hands together till they warm up. And place them over your eyes. Feel the warmth. Gently rub your eyes. Gently. Gently. And blink a few times. And open them. Thank you for meditating with me. I hope that was helpful. That concludes our Nididhyasana. And with that, our live stream. Thank you, dear Macy, for your quartet of roses. Om Namah Shivaya. Dear Gina, thank you for your pair of roses. Om Sadhyojatam prapadyami Sadhyojataya vai namo namah. Bhave bhave nati bhave bhavaswamam bhavod bhavaya namah. That was needed. I'm glad to hear that. Dear $. I'm happy you found that to be amazing. Dear Cody Jane. You can do that 3 times a day. I like that rainbow poem. You can do that as many times as you want. Every day. You can do it at all times in the day, in fact. And of course, dear Anisek, I echo that. Dear Michelle, good morning or good night, wherever you are. Eat healthy, find some rest, and don't overwork. Indeed. Thank you for being here, dear Donzuela. Much love to you. Many wishes, dear Jessie. Thank you to all my lovely moderators for helping keep the peace. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Do know that this live stream will be recorded. It is recorded, and it's going to be put on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. Hello to everyone watching in the future already. And I'll clip out the readings and the meditations and put them in their own playlists too. So if any of that interests you, I hope to direct you to that. It's all linked in the link tree in the bio. Much love, dear Reina Priya. You're making spaghetti. Cheers, Hybrid Jen. I hope you enjoy your spaghetti. Good night, dear Michelle. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Om Asatoma Satgamayang Tamasoma Jyotirgamayang Mrityorma Mritangamayang. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to deathlessness. Om. May there be peace in us, may there be peace in our environment, and may there be peace in the forces that act on us. If there's any way in which I could make this space more inclusive for you next time, please let me know. Hold me accountable to that. Keep me humble. I'm counting on you. Thank you, dear Anisek, for your 11 roses as we end tonight. Om Namah Karim Ambita Me Shorim Nadita Me Harim Devita Me Aim Saraswatyai Swaha. Much love, dear Shelley. Namaskaram, dear Anisek. May you all have a wonderful rest of your present moment.